What is up, YouTube? My name is Eben, and if you like what you see today, be sure to hit that like button down below. It sure could use a little lovin'. And today we're going to take a peek at Genesect EX. We're running 3 copies of it. It has really its ability and its attack are both major attractions for this 180 HP monster. Its attack is 3 metal for 100 damage, but you can discard as many metal energy attached to this guy as you like, and it's 20 extra damage for each one you discarded. So in theory, you could easily deal 180 damage or even more. So this thing can definitely do some one-hit KOing, which is kind of the idea of the deck. But you can also take advantage of its drive change ability, which allows you once per turn to take whatever tool is on it and send it back to your hand, which is kind of important because let's say you attach a muscle band to this guy, you only have to discard 3 metal energy to deal 180 damage, so that's not quite such a high price. But then after you attack, well, you got no energy on this guy, and he's got a 2 energy retreat. What you can do is take off that muscle band, and then you can play down, say, a float stone, retreat this guy to your bench for free, power him up with Bronzong, and when you retreat him, you bring up your next attacker. And that's basically the concept of the deck right there, is to use Genesect to put on a lot of offensive pressure, but then rotate him out easily and power him up with Bronzong. Speaking of which, we're running 3 copies of the lovely Metal Links Bronzong, because he's just that good. We want to get 2 up on our bench, ideally. That's kind of our target. Obviously, his ability attaches metal energies from the discard pile to your benched Pokemon. We are also running 1 copy of Bronzong Break. He's not the focus of the deck, but he is a pretty useful card to have. He increases the HP on Bronzong, which is quite nice. But for 2 energy, he has an attack not dissimilar from Genesect EX, where he can discard as many metal energy as he likes. And for each one you discard, you can deal 30 damage anywhere you like on your opponent's side of the field. So he can snipe low HP Pokemon, which is pretty cool, especially in matchups like Night March. And he can also pick off things that have been previously damaged. So he's a very nice backup attacker, and he can be an answer to things like Carbink, for example, that otherwise can be difficult for Genesect to get around. And to support that, of course, we're running 3 Bronzors, and my Bronzor of choice is the Payback Bronzor, as it actually has a chance of dealing some decent damage in theory at the right point in the game, so I'm opting for damage. And probably genuinely our best backup attacker to Genesect is Aegislash-EX. He's an oldie but a goodie. He doesn't take damage from people who are carrying any kind of special energy, which gives him a lot of protection against a lot of things, and his attack is just more damage for more metal energy, and he doesn't have to discard them. So you can just stack up a bunch of metal energy on this guy, especially in matches where your opponent has difficulty hitting him, and you can just hit for a ton of damage. In fact, you can, in theory, power this guy up for one-hit KOs as well. And of course, if he gets knocked out and takes all his energy with him, who cares, because you're running Bronzong. Our final Pokemon in the deck is that we're running 2 Shaman EX, just minimal slots versus Octillery, obviously, and this guy's just so good, he doesn't really need much explanation beyond that. Now, supporter-wise, to get all this going, we're running 3 Sycamore. Yeah, we want to discard energies, but we have other ways to do it. What we don't want to do is discard our Bronzongs. So we are just running the 3 Sycamore. He's still just that good, but our card drawing is going to be split pretty evenly exactly evenly between Sycamore and N. We're running 3 N's because we, like I say, don't want to lose our Bronzongs. That's definitely something we do not want to see happen. So N is our supporter of choice in those first few turns while we're setting up. And of course, late game, it can be quite useful. Pretty much as I think all of you probably already know. We're running 1 AZ, speaking of which. This can be a great way to repair off damage from Pokemon who have just discarded a bunch of metal energy off of, like Genesect EX. It can save Bronzongs that get put into the active slot when you don't have Float Stone, etc. It's just a really good supporter, and it's especially utilitarian in this deck. We're also running 1 copy of Blazander because Blazander, but there are also things that can be very problematic for us, like once again, Carbink can be very troublesome for all EX-based decks, and it's also a method of getting around things like Jolteon EX. So definitely need that Lysander here. And Hexmaniac can also shut down some very problematic abilities. Anything that offers protection against our attacks, anything that shuts us down like Vileplume, all those things we want to get rid of them. And of course, turn 1 you can use it to shut down Shamans to prevent early starts for opponents. Pretty obvious on that. We're running 4 Versus Seekers for all the obvious reasons, just utility. We're running 4 Ultra Balls. These discard our metal energies nicely for Bronzong, and of course can also search up our Bronzong or anything else we might need. And of course it sets Shaman up really well. This is all kind of lather, rinse, repeat information, but just in case you didn't already know. We're running 3 Battle Compressors. Compress a little bit of your metal energy, but do be sure to compress some versus seeker targets as well. 3 is good for this deck because we do definitely want to take advantage of it. And our tools, we're running 3 copies of Floatstone because our Bronzongs are definitely going to want this tool, but our Genesects are also going to want to take advantage of it, so you kind of want to have one floating between your hand and your Genesect, and the others can go onto your Bronzongs. I don't personally like to attach them unless I'm about to discard my hand or something. I don't like to attach them to Bronzong unless I have to. That way your opponent is more incentivized to Lysander your Mon, and then you can play down the Floatstone, retreat it back, and you weren't as vulnerable to, say, Zerosic or something like that in the meantime. Plus, you may have provoked your opponent into wasting a Lysander. So, just a good way to play that. We're also running 3 Muscle Bands. We don't really benefit very much from fighting Fury Belt in this deck particularly, so the extra 20 damage is better. It is pretty important since our main attackers all deal in even amounts of damage rather than odd, so the 20 damage bonus versus 10 is more important. And if there's a Shaman active on your opponent's side, it might even allow Bronzong Prime to, or Bronzong Break, sorry, not Prime. Ooh, we went back in time there. To allow Bronzong Break to actually, for 3 metal energies, pick off a Shaman that's in the active slot. So that's definitely our tool lineup there. But we do also have 3 copies of Max Potion. Our Pokemon either can just have all their energies restored via Bronzong, or they will have discarded them anyway to their attacks. Max Potion is a great way to deny knockouts for your opponent and keep your attackers going. It's just fantastic. And we can recover the energy back onto them and keep going with relative ease. It's just kind of a staple in metal decks, really, if you get right down to it anyway. We're running 3 copies of Trainer's Mail. This is just a nice utility to help get our supporters, since we do only run 9 supporters. We have a lot of draw supporters, but still, we definitely want to hit them. And this can get us nice utility cards as well as, like Ultra Ball, to make sure that we don't stall out. So, pretty useful card in this build. We're running 1 copy of Sacred Ash because we don't particularly want to retrieve our energies nearly as much as our Pokemon. So this can get a bunch of Bronzors and Bronzongs back if that's the case, and maybe even restore something like a Genesect EX. We pretty much wouldn't mind returning all of them to our hand. We're also running, as our stadium, we're running 3 copies of Steel Shelter. It's great to remove status like Sleep. They can be very problematic for us since it'll block our retreats, and it also counters other stadiums because there are some stadiums that are definitely troublesome for us, like Silent Lab, for example, that can shut down Genesect's utility and make life a little harder for Aegislash as well. So we're running 3 of that for that reason. And finally, energy-wise, we are running a total of 10 metal energies. They're all basic because basics are what Bronzong trades in. And other than that, that's about it. We only need the 10 because we're going to be retrieving them from our discard pile generally. So we don't need more than that to slow our hands down. 10 is dandy. And that is pretty much the deck. Go give it a try. It's a lot of fun. And until next time, like, comment, subscribe. Check me out on Twitter. Link is below as always. And I will see you next time.